So there are two parts of creativity that something new that I came to know about from the module reading this time along, and something new that I didn't know about before. And it's that the two parts of the definition of creativity is novelty and relevancy. And relevancy is the part where you're actually coming up to solve the problem, and then novelty is coming up with a solution that's unique or an original way where the solution is creative. Basically, when you put these together, it gives you the definition of creativity. And one of the myths that I found really surprising from the list of list we were given from our reading this module was the first myth, which was myth 2, which was either you are creative or you aren't, and then myth A, which was no one can measure or assess creativity. And the reason why these two surprised me the most was because, taking a look at myth 2 first of all, a lot of times, like, there's people, including me, it's who have there's been a misconception, like, where all my life it's like either you're creative or you're not creative. And I always thought that I'm not a creative person because I can't draw, I can't paint, I don't have good handwriting, like I can't do anything artsy. So like I always was misconcepted that I am not a creative person, and everyone around me as well. Like, people would think that they're creative or not based off their artistic abilities. And we always thought that this is something that you can't learn, it's just inherent basically. But it's not true. And that's what I came to know about from the readings from this module. And module 2 was that creativity can be assessed, right? So a lot of times people are like, oh, this is not something you can measure, right? It's either you're creative or not, like myth two. But that's not the case. Like, you can measure creativity through assessments, through quizzes and things like that, like throughout school and classes as this creativity class right now. And why is creativity important to companies? So creativity is important for all different types of companies if the business wants to grow and wants to increase their profits and revenues that they're gaining, right? Because without new ideas, without evolving those innovative ideas, the company is not going to progress. Take, for example, Apple. Apple releases new software devices, new types of iPhones and MacBooks and Apple Watches every single year. And if Apple weren't to do this, every year when they launch a new iPhone, it has a new ability, whether the camera is more clear or there's a new software that the old iPhones generations don't have. And same goes with their MacBooks and Apple Watches. And Apple wasn't to do that, and they're not coming up with constant new innovative creative ideas every single year, then this company is not going to profit, right? Not many people will come and buy their products because as the years go by, as technology evolves around the world, if the company is not staying up to date to the newer technologies these days, then no one's going to want to buy their products. Another example of another company would be Google. Today, there's many different Google applications, whether it's Google Maps, Google Translate, Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, and Google is constantly releasing these new applications because of the innovative ideas they're thinking of. All of their CEOs and employees, they're coming up with these creative, innovative ideas, which is allowing them to launch these softwares, which not only does it give the outside population different ways of using or being involved with Google, but it also gives different ways on Google for them to profit from their different types of applications, because Google is not just a search engine where you can search up things and get your answers. They also have many other applications, which I just was able to state. And these creative approaches is what gets everyone who wants to use Google basically. So the two common approaches with the creative thinking, the two types of creative thinking, like that was said in the reading that were provided, was thinking and finding your flow. Like, it was divergent and convergent thinking. So those two different types of thinking. So divergent thinking is like a broad search for like different types of diverse novel alternatives, and then convergent thinking is more focused on the affirmative evaluation of alternatives. And if we look at real world examples, how creative change, like the process of creative change, right? If we talk about like the influence and the change that's happened because of creativity, we can take, for example, Netflix. years ago, if we're looking about 10-15 years ago, Netflix was not a online virtual streaming platform where you can just stream any movie or TV show you want to. Netflix was a DVD rental service, which back in the day, where people would come to their box and rent out DVDs basically. And the CEO of Netflix at that time, he had a creative out of the box idea, and he saw that technology was evolving. Obviously he didn't foresee the future, but he had a wild idea, and because he saw this, he saw that there was a chance for Netflix to get somewhere. And that's why he changed this Netflix DVD rental service into completely online streaming technology, and which shifted their business incredibly. And we can see today millions around the world use Netflix today because it's just so easy for them to get watch any movies, TV shows that they would like. And because of this creative, innovative idea that he had back 10-15 years ago, that's what has made Netflix the number one streaming line today, online around the world. And because of this vision the CEO had, the potential of digital streaming came very early on, and then other companies started basically doing what Netflix started doing. But again, Netflix was the original streaming line, or the OG streaming line that people did start off with.